As the title suggests, we're going to talk about this subject of situational awareness. We're going to talk about what it is, what it isn't, some myths, and some practical tips that you should use in your everyday life. Situational awareness is the result of a decision that you make to be aware of what's going on around you and be sensitive to threats. Now, that could be just walking around in the world. We all do it when we drive a car, or we should be doing it when we drive a car. Now, if you look at the accident rate for people who are driving while distracted, meaning you're doing this thing or you're doing this thing, we don't do so well with that. And that's because it's a decision that we make to be in that state of awareness. So you have a mental decision, and then you have some things that you do. So we say to ourselves, bad things will happen. They do. We want to be able to recognize them ahead of time, so to take action to avoid it and move on. This is not about walking around in the world as some paranoid, fear-filled person. It is about being mentally prepared to look around and see what the threats might be to you. An important baseline for your mindset is that when something bad is going to happen to you, you are the only one at the scene that can do anything about it. If you're hurt, you're the only one that can provide first aid if you're conscious. If you're under attack, you are the only one who can take action to repel that attack. The police do not exist to protect you. That has never been the case, regardless of the rhetoric that you hear. No one is going to come to prevent the attack. No one is going to magically appear and prevent your car accident if you're in the middle of having one. You are always responsible. Therefore, you must always be trained, and you must have the mental awareness to try to prevent those things from happening. When it comes to self-defense, way back when, a gentleman named Colonel Jeff Cooper, when he was training his troops, developed a color code system so that folks could easily remember the state they need to be in and the state that they will transition through in the act of self-defense or when they're under attack. And we'll go through those. In his system there were 4. There are other systems that have 6. It's not that important to differentiate in this video, other than as a mental tool to help you think about your state of awareness. Now remember, these conditions or these mental states are just that. They are mental states within which you're going to take some action. Now the first one is called condition white. Think of yourself asleep naked. That's condition white. You're totally clueless and you don't want to be bothered by anything other than whatever it is you're doing right then. When you think about that, how many times have you seen people get hit by cars, trucks, and other people because they were head down while walking in public, playing on their cell phones, doing whatever they're doing on their electronic tech, oblivious to what goes on around them? The point is, when you are out in public, you should never, ever be in condition white. Now, it's okay to be in condition white, right? If you've made that decision. But then what you really need to do is secure your perimeter so that you can be alerted that it's time to get out of condition white and pay attention. Now, in the civilian world, that's called an alarm system, it's called locks on your door, it's called having a little thing to keep someone from bursting into your door. There are a lot of things that you can do to harden the perimeter around where you have chosen to be in condition white. Now, think about backpacking and camping, right? And you want to go to sleep and you're by yourself and you are in bear country. You're kind of screwed when you go to sleep because you have to sleep and you have no warning system except when you feel the jaws munching on your head. Then it's kind of too late. So you need to have some kind of countermeasure really close to you that you can get to. Now, that's a crazy example, but it has happened. I say that to make the second level is condition yellow. And this is the condition or the state of mind that whenever you're out of a safe place that is secure, I mean really secure, or particularly if you're out in public doing anything in public, you should be in condition yellow. This is where you have decided you're going to pay attention to cues that would indicate that there is danger or a threat. Now, in the case of driving a car, if you're going down the interstate, you are now looking for visual cues that would signal to you that there is danger, that you may need to take some action, or that something isn't necessarily normal. You may want to then decide to change speed, change lanes, or even get off of the roadway. When it comes to self-defense, it's exactly the same thing. You are looking for things that tell you that something is out of the ordinary and may pose a threat. In both cases, the main thing that is the best tool for you are your peepers, your eyes. Your eyes give you a window into everything that's going on around you. And you now associate what you see with what typically indicates a potential threat. But how do you use your eyes? How do you scan? How do you actively become aware? Well, you've heard the term, keep your head on a swivel. Well, unfortunately, we're not owls, so we can't turn our head that much. So we have to act. We have to use our eyes in the ways that predators use their eyes to find another predator, and we're talking self-defense. You've seen the movies, you've seen Discovery Channel, you've seen what a predator does when their prey gives indication that they know they're there. What does the predator do? Until they're in striking range, they stop moving and hide. That's exactly what bad guys do. If they see you paying attention visually, and as soon as they think your eyes are going to come and light on them, they will stop moving and hide. That's a classic move. And then when they see you not looking in their direction, they will continue to try to advance. You may or may not have seen them. The goal is to see cues before a threat can get to attack distance, which is not that far away. Okay? Now, how do we use our eyes? When we scan, we don't jerk our heads around because our eyes aren't built to see things like that. In the human, our eyes are built to see shape, not detail, and color. That's why a person that you know very well could literally become invisible in the crowd just by changing a hat or hair color. It happens all the time. So we need to be aware of what a threat visual profile might look like, and that does mean profiling, unfortunately or fortunately. Then, when our visual acuity, when we can see detail, then we can make the second level. Is this really a threat? Right? So, slow movement, pay attention, focus if you think you saw something or see something, make the decision, and then move on. You can do this while you're walking, and you certainly can do this while you're driving. The point is that you're not going to be doing this really fast, rapid movement. Now, there's a game you can play with yourself, and I actually do it frequently. And that is, I mentally say to myself, is there anyone around me within 20 feet or so, that's 7 yards or so, or the distance across the room, is there anyone that close to me that was a surprise to me? And do I know what they're doing? Now, it is impossible as a single individual to have 360-degree visual awareness. That is just impossible. But the point is that you want to make the effort to see as much of that as rationally as possible, and then decide. And it'll amaze you how many times a person will show up in that space that you didn't see before. And that's just a practice thing. And the more you do it, the more you will recognize different types of people, different types of circumstances, and then you'll get in practice of deciding what looks like and what doesn't look like a threat to you. Now remember, that's anytime you're out in public. So let's say that you're out shopping and now you're in the checkout line. Or you are going up to the ATM machine. Whether you're walking up to the ATM machine or you're in your car driving through. Right? Are you aware of what's happening around you? The third level is condition orange. Condition orange says, I have been paying attention and I now notice something specific that I need to evaluate further because it looks and smells a lot to me like a threat. Now, in a self-defense mode, at this time you don't pull out a firearm or some defensive weapon or tool because you're focused on that particular thing that you think is a threat. And it could be a condition, it could be a particular group of people who are behaving in a way that doesn't appear jovial or welcoming, and you don't have any option but to go close to them. You have decided to take evasive action and walk to the other side of the street, which you may or may not want to do because, you know, you're a guy and your testosterone is jacked up, right? My point is, the condition follows you. The group of people then start to follow you and you feel like you're being surrounded. That is a condition orange type assessment. If you are, again, you're out in public, you're in a store, anytime you see an armed person or you suspect a person is armed, legally or otherwise, for me, I immediately go into condition orange until I've determined that that person is not a threat. And that's just, for me, that's just what I do. If you're driving, let's take winter driving, for example, and you're driving and it's snowing and all that, and you say, it's now getting dark, it's below freezing, the precipitation on the road is susceptible to creating ice. I now have to prepare to deal with black ice. So my focus on driving is to find indications of black ice, and if I find it, Then I go to the next level, which is condition red, and we'll talk about that in a second. In condition red, that is the final step. It's the action step that says, if this thing happens, I will do this. If I encounter black ice on the roadway, I will drive this way. If I start to skid, I am prepared for that, even though I didn't see the black ice, and my driving technique will change to deal with a skid. That kind of stuff. If it's self-defense, you're saying, if the threat takes this action, right, in other words, confirms to me that they're a threat to me, then I will now implement deadly force. A lot has to go on before you confirm that, and it can happen very quickly. Let's take the ambush, for example. Inside that area, you didn't see them, but now you are physically attacked. You are in a fight, and you were not able to draw your firearm. You now have to use empty hand techniques to get distance so you can use that. Or you see the threat coming. Somebody has come up to you with a knife and said, give me you at the ATM and said, give me your money. Right? You're now in condition red. You have seen that person, and you probably have said, doesn't look right, but if that person does this, I am ready. So we've gone to, out in public, we're in condition yellow, then orange, and then red. Red is an action step. So, situational awareness is a decision that you make to pay attention. How you pay attention is based on some skills that you use. Some of them I tried to share on this video, or you get through additional training. So, when out in public, pay attention. Thanks for watching. Carry on.